It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for The Walking Dead. In this video we're going to be discussing and predicting about recent news that was released at New York Comic Con from Robert Kirkman, saying that there will be a Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead crossover, and that one character will be crossing over from one show to the other. Now, he didn't specify which character from which show to which other show, and everything at this point is really vague about what's actually going to happen. Now, if you want to know my thoughts about the idea of some sort of crossover like that, I already did a standalone video just talking about that, so you can go on the channel and check that out. But in this video specifically, we're going to talk about who will cross over. So who will be the character that's going to be involved in this crossover? So obviously it could be a character from Fear, or it could be a character from Walking Dead. Now, the characters that I am going to basically predict here are the ones that have the most likelihood of being involved in this crossover. So all of these characters, there's some sort of element that ties them into this crossover or makes it more likely for them to be in this crossover. So let's start with Fear characters first. So the first Fear the Walking Dead character that could potentially be in this crossover is Tobias. So if you remember, Tobias was one of the school kids that we saw that went to the same school as Chris did, if you remember, and he kind of disappeared. He had some ties with Madison, so it seemed like he's going to be a big character, but he kind of left and we never saw him after that. So he's one of the candidates because not only was his disappearance kind of left a mystery and we don't know where he is, but also because he was one of those interesting characters. He got a lot of positive fan feedback and fans wanted to see more of him. And so I think if they want to bring a character from Fear to Walking Dead, he would definitely be a good candidate because, for one, he left pretty early on, and because of that they have more room to explain what happened to him and how he ended up on the East Coast where The Walking Dead's original show is, going from the West Coast where Fear started in Los Angeles. So not only is his character interesting and fans would definitely be excited and interested to get to see him in the universe of The Walking Dead again, but also they have a little bit of breathing room in terms of explaining how he ended up where he is. The second character from Fear is Alex. Now, Alex is one of the characters that started from the Flight miniseries. If you remember, she was one of those characters that was in the airplane in Flight 462 in the miniseries for Fear the Walking Dead. And she did in fact cross over into Fear itself. As we saw, she didn't last long in terms of her storyline because she kind of came in and she was there for a little bit. She was involved in a mini storyline and then she kind of disappeared. So just like Tobias, she left and it's like a mystery where she went. Now for Alex's character, I think she's not really one of those interesting characters. I know that we were interested to get to know her more and see her in Fear when we realized that she's in fact going to be crossing over into Fear. But afterwards, I don't think that they did anything special to make us really want to invest in knowing the character, and they didn't actually do any character development for her. So I would say she got less character development than Tobias, even though they were both there the same amount of time. So if the crossover is going to involve a Fear the Walking Dead character going to Walking Dead, my predictions are that it's going to be either Alex or Tobias. It could definitely be someone else as well, but it's more likely for it to be one of these two characters. Now, if it's the other way around, where we have a character going from The Walking Dead to Fear the Walking Dead, then there's actually two ways it could go down. One way is that it could be a backstory for a character from The Walking Dead's original show. Or it could be a character from the original show who left, and they could have them kind of join Fear and, transition or cross over to Fear the Walking Dead. Now, the first character that could potentially take this position is Morales. Now, I've always been honest about my opinions about wanting to see Morales again, and the theory that he was alive and that he was going to come back and everything. But in this case, I think it's definitely a possibility. Not only has his return been teased, even though there wasn't a lot of credibility to it, but also he's a fan favorite. I don't exactly know why he's a fan favorite, and I would love to know. So if you are a fan of Morales, let me know in the comment section below why. But he didn't get a lot of time. He didn't get a lot of character development, and his storyline didn't go far, but he's loved by some fans for some reason. And those fans would definitely want him to come back. Now, initially, everyone wants him to come back to the original show, which is very unlikely to happen. But if he's gonna come back to the Walking Dead universe in some way, Fear the Walking Dead could be a great opportunity to do that. So, in a way, bringing Morales to Fear the Walking Dead acts as some sort of fan service, because they're giving fans what they really want, or a good portion of them what they really want, and bringing a character that fans have been asking for back to the Walking Dead universe in some way. Now, if he comes back, there's actually two ways it could go. One, it could be his backstory, so we could see him, and it could be some sort of cameo. He could be there for a small amount of time, and then he could leave. And when he leaves, he would potentially meet up with the group afterwards. Now, this is a little unlikely, and it wouldn't really make sense because of the timeline issue and the distance from where Fear is and where Walking Dead is located. But there is a little bit of room for them to kind of throw it in there. Now, other than that, it is a little bit underwhelming for them to be teasing this big crossover happening and then bringing back a character like Morales, whose return will definitely trigger a lot of discussion, and it will definitely be surprising and shocking. But to just make him come back for a little bit and then leave again, that takes away from everything they were trying to build in the first place. So for long-term ratings, I don't think it's going to be great. And for fans, I don't think fans want that. I don't think fans want to see a character cross over and for it to be like a small cameo or even a multi-episode cameo like that. So, it will definitely create backlash in those terms. Now, the other three characters that could possibly be attached to this crossover are characters that are pretty relevant to Walking Dead's original show, even at this time. One of them is Rosita, the other is Abraham and Eugene. So if you remember, they were all together when they first met up with Rick and the gang. And they came from Texas, very close to the location where Fear is taking place at this time. So, it would definitely make sense for them to kind of meet up with someone from Fear and cross over into Fear way before they ever, found Rick and the others. So they could definitely work that in there, and, that would definitely make sense. Now again, if it's any of them, it would be a cameo. It would not be a long-term crossover. So it would be, in a way, fan service, but it would be underwhelming, and I don't think that it would be what fans want, especially when they tease this crossover just like the way they did. So Rosita, Eugene, and Abraham could possibly be crossing over, and we could get to see them in the past, so it would kind of be like their backstory, and we would see them in Fear, and the timeline of it would be way before they ever met up with Rick and the others. Now, one thing that I want to mention here is because both Rosita and Eugene are still in the original show, and they're very much active in the original show, they're more or less big characters, it's more unlikely for them to have any part in Fear the Walking Dead. So they can't really be filming back and forth in Fear and Walking Dead's original show. So that makes it even less likely for them to be in this crossover. Now, it could definitely be Abraham by himself, because he was, in fact, with his family by himself way before he even met up with Rosita and Eugene. So we could potentially just see Abraham and his family before he met up with Rosita and Eugene. So that would definitely be a possibility, and it would be cool. I gotta be honest, it would be cool. But at the same time, would it really add anything to the story and, where we are in terms of the Walking Dead's universe? Or would it simply be something they want to do so that there's some sort of crossover between Fear and Walking Dead? I don't really know the answer to that. But in my opinion, whatever they want to do with this crossover, it's got to mean something. It's got to be more than just a cameo. It's got to be more than just seeing a character from this show in the other show. So either the character has to be a long-term character and be impactful, or it has to add something to their backstory if it is someone's backstory. So what I mean by that is, if they're gonna make Morales leave and meet up with the Fear the Walking Dead cast, I want him to be a long-term character. I want his integration into Fear to be more than just a cameo. In the same way, if it's Abraham's backstory in Fear the Walking Dead, I want some things to be revealed about Abraham that we didn't know before. That would add more to his character development. Same thing goes with Rosita and Eugene. Same thing applies to Fear the Walking Dead characters. If we're gonna see Tobias make his way to one of the communities that we know of in The Walking Dead's original show, I want him to kind of be a long-term character. I want him to be impactful in the show. And because of the number of characters we currently have, it's very unlikely that, they would be successful at doing that if they want to do something like that. Same thing goes with Alex. They could potentially make Alex go to one of the communities, either Alexandria, Kingdom, or Hilltop. And, she could potentially be a long-term resident of that community. But again, I want it to be something that's impactful. And I am afraid that it's not going to be impactful enough given the number of characters we currently have. And we gotta remember, there's more characters that will be introduced from the comics. So it's not just the characters that we currently have. There's gonna be more characters coming in. Even though there's gonna be a lot of characters dying, especially in Season 8, there is still gonna be a lot more characters being introduced. So because of that, I don't think that it makes sense for them to wanna bring a Fear the Walking Dead character to Walking Dead and develop them. But I wanna know everybody's opinions about this. What do you think about this crossover, and who do you think will cross over? That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.